Check. 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey, guys and gals. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Glad to have you. All right. Triple layer chocolate. Yes, but not German chocolate. I can't stand shredded coconut. I don't know why. I like coconut. Maybe it's, as a kid, it got caught in my teeth or something. Hello, Ken. Welcome. OG, glad to have you. Vlad, Tommy, Tim from Chesapeake. Oh, yeah, man. Love that area. We have a family house there in Matthews County. So, general neighborhood. Tommy's having fish and chips for lunch. Fish sticks and sliced potatoes. There you go. There you go. All right. All right. So, yeah, today we're going to do layers. And all you guys talking about food. Holy cow. Dark chocolate, too bitter for me. Too bitter for me. I'm such a sweet tooth. Hello, Ken. Let me tell you my favorite story about Ken. So it was NAB 2019. Was it, Ken? 2019? Or maybe it was 2018. It had to be 2018. Because we were doing the Streaming Idiots meetup on the floor of NAB. PTC Optics sponsored us there, but any of the refreshments that came had to come through the catering service there at the convention center, which was like frightfully expensive. And back in the day, I would have my lemonade. It is almost a green cup. I would have my lemonade, and we would tease about whoever was late to this show had to bring snacks for the post show. And then the joke was that you bring mixed nuts, and then you don't have to because we're all a bunch of nuts and we're all mixed up. So we were going to have lemonade and mixed nuts there at the PTC Optics booth for the Streaming Idiots meetup. Had a huge crowd, and we screwed up tons of different ways. But Ken came and smuggled in hundreds of dollars. I mean, it was like a pound of mixed nuts was, what was it, Ken? Was it $98 or something like that? 2018. That's right. And a pound of mixed nuts was 98. I don't think it was $200 a pound. I think it was just $100 a pound. But Ken brought in, $200 worth of nuts. That was a lifesaver. We should have brought lemonade. Oh, well. That's fun stuff. All right, Tim, glad to have you. Let's see. We got some time left. Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. Let's notice I didn't look up to the clock this time. I actually looked on the computer screen. And actually, don't I have a setup? I used to have a setup that, well, we'll do one in the show that was on the big screen behind the camera so I could see the time and my guests and myself and all that kind of stuff all at the same time. But we'll build one of those as part of the layer workshop today because I am now an expert on layers. Well, not really, but I know a little bit. So we'll see. We're also doing the show today in 1080p 60. And part of the reason for that is that I want this to be really as interactive as possible. And with 4K 30 or 4K 60, I can't do the low latency chat the way I can with 1080p 60. So hello, Tim. Welcome. Glad to have you. So with 1080p 60 and low latency, the response time between the time I say it and the time you hear it is a couple of seconds, back to the old Flash days. If you remember Adobe Flash Media Encoder and encoding video with that. It wasn't instantaneous, but it was pretty darn quick. And then everybody went away from Adobe and went to whatever the next thing in line was. And the latency between live and then what you see went way up. With some outfits, it's still up there around 50 seconds or even longer, which if you're trying to monitor your own stream is ridiculous. But when we did 4K 60 as our long-term experiment and then 4K 30, we sacrificed the latency on the video. And so the latency was, I think, 12, maybe 15 seconds sometimes. And it just depended a little bit. It was different from time to time. Hello, Otis. Glad to have you. Is it still hot out there in Houston? So today's latency should be, what did I call it? Let me check the settings here. Can I see it now? No, I can't see it. I can't see it. But normally when I set up the stream on YouTube, I can see what my latency choices are. And so today I chose ultra low latency, and I think it's stuck. It's kind of funny because when you set up a 4K stream in YouTube and you choose ultra low latency, it'll let you choose it, but when you go to save it, it reverts back to normal latency, which is 10 to 15 seconds. Good evening, Jan. Glad to have you, sir. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. It is against the law in Alabama to make sweet cornbread. No, it's not. I like sweet cornbread. Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I wonder what the latency is. How can we measure the latency between you and me, Jan? I don't know, since we're not in the same room. So we'll have to see. There we go. There we go. Getting down to the important stuff. It's either cake or tech. Take your pick. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, maybe you can. We'll see. All right, we're gonna do a real show today with a beginning and an ending. Let me have another swig of lemonade before we go. We're gonna have a beginning. We're gonna have an ending. So yeah, here we go. We're pressing the purple button on our X Keys XK80, and that's gonna start the show. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it worked. Thank you very much, Martin K. Martin did the Jaws of Death thingy there. Yeah. And Marie wants chocolate cake. I think everybody should have to. I tell you what, we'll just take a minute. We'll pause the show right now. Everybody go get a slice of chocolate cake, and then come right back. Doesn't necessarily mean we all have chocolate cake available. Yes, yes. So welcome to all of you that are watching live. Welcome to all of you that are watching after the fact on YouTube. Did you know, you may not know this, that the Streaming Idiot Show is the longest continually running live streaming show about live streaming in the universe. At one point, somebody else held that record, but then they went off the air. And we're the only ones left still talking about it all these years later. July of 2012, I think, was our first show. We've been going strong ever since, almost every week. Sometimes you have to miss a week. So today we're going to have a workshop, which means you're involved. And I mean, if you're watching live, if you're watching at home after the fact, sorry, you're just going to have to get here at 3:00 Eastern on Wednesday afternoons. Yeah, maybe I don't know. If another time would suit you better, let me know. We'll see what we can do. But vMix has released vMix 27 as a beta. They did it, has it been a month now? Well, 3 weeks. And it's been fun for us to continue to review the beta. We looked at the vMix integration of Zoom, kind of like a vMix caller. So yes, Tommy, that is counting that VidBlaster guy because it's the same guy. And we found a bug in that right away, which has subsequently been fixed pretty quickly. And we looked at what did we look at next? Oh, come on, Tom. You're not an idiot. Well, I am an idiot, but that's not the point. What did we look at next in vMix? Doggone it. You should know these things, Thomas. Hold on a second. Somebody help me out here. What did we talk about last week? Oh my gosh. This is horrible. Brain is laid to waste. Oh, we talked about the AV1 codec. That's what it was. Yeah. And I was thinking about doing HEVC today, but that's not really a whole show. And I really wanted to talk about layers. But AV1's game changer for a lot of people that are in a bandwidth limited situation and are streaming to Facebook or YouTube. By the way, somebody said Facebook and we'll do AV1. I haven't confirmed that, but that would be cool if that's the case. Probably not a lot of other CDNs are doing AV1 yet because I think it requires some kind of ramp up. So Marie says all great artists change their names sometimes. The artist formerly known as Tom Sinclair, Streaming Idiot. So today we're going to look at layers. vMix has had layers. They used to call them multi-view, but then they called lots of things multi-view. So in order to provide some distinction between this multi-view, that multi-view, and the third type of multi-view, we've now renamed one of those layers. And that means that you can take something like this and layer things one in front of the other. Obviously, this lower third is a layer. It's behind me. This one right here, it's in front of me. That and this are in front of me. The green screen is behind me, and then I'm kind of in the middle. So they're 4 layers at this point. And actually, I think they're just 3 layers with the green screen being the kind of the base layer, so it doesn't really count. So you can stack 11. Hello, Bayview. Welcome. Glad you're here. The idea with layers now is that you have better control over the layers. And so I want to kind of blow through some of that, breeze through some of it, get your feedback, get some suggestions from you on better ways to handle it. And so what I've set up is a proverbial desktop capture. Don't you just like a desktop capture? So the desktop capture is going to show, let me put myself over there. There we go. Desktop capture is going to show all sorts of things. Now, over here in the top left-hand corner, that's my preview. And just for right now, I'm going to take the lines out. There we go. That'll make that a little clearer. And so let's take off the lower thirds. Actually, that was all one graphic, wasn't it? Okay. So what I want to do here, let's see, let's take the audio mixer and hide that so we just have all assets down here at the bottom. And I want to scroll down to the very last one. And you see that's the desktop capture that we've got as our main output right now. I want to add a blank input, and then we can build 10 layers on top of that. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom left corner to where it says add input. I'm not going to click add input. I'm going to click the little arrow right next to it, which will pop up a menu. Aha. Did you know that was there? I didn't know that was there. I mean, I do now, and I have for a little while, but I didn't always. And not everything is on here, but a lot of stuff, including Zoom, is on here. I want to go to the blank. So I want to create a blank input. Let me scroll down, and there is our blank input. So in order to do layers, I've got to go into the settings for our blank input. And in vMix settings is always the little gear icon, the little flower. I was teaching a vMix 101 class one time, and one of the ladies in there said, "You mean the little flower?" I said, "Yes, the little flower, the settings flower." Press the settings flower, and that brings up the settings in vMix. And I'm going to just pop the settings over here, just kind of slide them into the top right-hand corner so that it's not quite as distracting. And so we've got all these different settings for this particular input. Remember, the input is blank. vMix now calls it color because it's essentially a color input that has no color. Yeah, we'll chew on that one for a while. And then we can come down this list to layers. Layers is always there. I think in version 25 for sure, and maybe even 26, it says layers / multi-view, but they've dropped the multi-view extension to that. And we now have the ability to have 10 different pieces of information or sources or assets or pictures or videos or whatever here in our list. And if we go even further here to the right, we have some samples of how they can be arranged. Now, these haven't changed since the beginning of time. Those are still there. You can make your own and add to them if you want to, but we're not going to pay any attention to that. We're just going to pay attention to these. So the very first thing we really need is we need me. There. Now I'm happy. But when we did that, all this other cool stuff right across here appeared that is all new. Number one, it tells me that 1-1. What does 1-1 mean? Let's put something else in here. And we'll go to it. Can we go to it? Yeah, there we go. 2-2. Okay, so let's take that out. So 1-1 means, oh, I know. It means that position 1 in the layer happens to be input number 1. So if we change that to input number 22, it would be 1-22. Okay, there we go. So we got that figured out. That's good. We're smart people. We get it pretty quickly. So that's in layer level 1 is input number 1, and then we can lock it, and we can move this screen. Right now it's set for crop. So let's take move, and I'm just going to left click it and just drag it around. And you notice when I do, it has a little tag up here that tells me 1-1 main shot. So if I forget what this is because it's something invisible or something that hasn't yet been filled in, like a vMix call video screen or something like that, I know what it is. So that's cool. The other thing that's different, let's go all the way over here to the right side. I have the ability to go back. I can undo. So if I click the undo button, I go back to the center. I can redo and take it back where it was, or I can undo it. And right there, of course, is 90 degrees. So I can flip it 90 degrees and be happy, or I can undo the flip and we'll go back to the beginning. Holy cow. There we go. Now, no more undos can be done. So that's move. Move allows us to go everywhere. We'll put it back where it was. Crop allows us to crop. What I want to do, let me just drag this down so that we can get easy access to the corners here. We'll go to crop, and I'm going to crop this. But there's a problem. Yeah, because input number one, main shot, is actually a video with my image overlaid on it as a layer. And so really what I'm doing is I'm cropping the background only. And this has been a feature or a bug, depending on how you look at it, in vMix since early on. So if I want to crop my image, I better darn well stay within the boundaries of this little box, or else I'm gonna fall out of it. So that's not good. Let's put this back the way it was. We'll undo. There we go. Okay. So let's spend a moment with this, because some of you probably have tripped over this at some point in the past. What we need to do is we need to take this composite image, which is main shot number one, which is this video plus me on a green screen. We need to take this and we need to flatten it to one element. And the way we do that, so that now we can crop it and crop me with it, not just the background. And the way we do that is that we add that to what vMix calls a mix. All right. So let's close this for a second. Well, when I say close, I don't mean close the input. We're just going to close this window because our input's still down here in the bottom left-hand corner. But we want to add an input. We're going to use that same little up arrow thing right here, and we're going to select mix. And that gives us a little 2-channel mixer, essentially. So we can select a preview, like up here in our big top left-hand corner, preview. And then the green window here could be like our program right here. So I'm just going to select something for the program, and I'm going to select main shot. Now, you don't always have to understand this. Sometimes you just have to trust. So now input number 89 is called mix 3. Apparently, I've got a mix 2 and a mix 1 somewhere else. Actually, I think this big one up here is mix 1. I've got mix 3 that just has one element in it, but that's okay because that's all I need. So let's go back to 88 color. We'll go back to the settings, and we'll change our number 1 right up here. We're going to change it to mix 3. Now, frankly, what I'm about to all this has been there with vMix before version 27, but here in 27, it really shines and we can really take advantage of it. So now we've got move, we can move it around. Nothing's changed there. We got crop, and we're going to grab this top left-hand corner, and we can now crop the whole image. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so for those of you that have tried to, over the years, using vMix call and putting collars on top of something and then trying to crop it down or putting borders with it and crop it. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. So let's go back where we were on this one. Let's go back to the main. So we now know that we'll have a cropping problem on this guy, but that's okay. We're going to explore the rest of the features, I think. So the third feature over, in addition to move and crop, is border. So in order to see a border, let's just make a move here, and let's just shrink this so that when we have a border, we can see it more clearly. That's the only purpose for doing this. So if we go to border, now I have an opportunity to turn it on or off. So I'm going to turn it on. Little checkbox. It says thickness right next to it, but really this box is for color. So let's give it something really annoying like this magenta. You see now the color kind of fills itself in. Thickness, I can put in a number, or you notice how my cursor changes from an arrow to the 2 arrows. So I can drag it out. I guess if I drag it to the left, it goes to 0. Let's drag it to right about there. There we go. Thickness is 43. And then a radius allows us to smooth the edges. So I can smooth the edges a lot on this one. Oh, I guess 100 is all I get. Okay, so I'm at 100. And that's pretty cool. That looks pretty neat. So why did all those menus go off? Oh, because I deselected. Let's go back in here and select. Let's now crop this and see what happens. So if I crop it, we're back to the same problem as before. So we need to go, let's see if we can just change it over to mix 3. And there we go. Now the crop works right. So if we crop it like that, we're good. And let's go ahead and crop it down a little bit because we're going to add some other elements there. Actually, what I want to do is build a screen I can see everything in. So that's a crop, and then we'll see if we can make it a little smaller right there. Yeah. All right. So now we've got also here, we're in move. We can move it based on X and Y axis. We can also make the width and height a precise number rather than just something I dragged. And we can also, I think, let's see, if I right click this, yeah, we can align this. So we can align it to the top. Boom, there we go. We can align it to the bottom. Boom. And when we do that, we see that the border disappears. So that's not good. We might need to work on that somehow. And if we go to the right, notice it doesn't align with the right border, but it aligns with whatever the width of the original image was. I can drag that in, but it doesn't give me the desired effect. So there's a little work to be done on that one, but that's okay. I mean, we can work around all that. I can drag it and move it over there. I just can't use the right click align button and have it do what I want if I've cropped this or changed it in some way. All right, that's all right. So let's take Tom and put him up over there. What else I want in my input here is I want a clock. And here's the clock number 20. Now, remember, every input comes in full size. So the very first thing I have to do is I'm going to click on the clock, and notice how it changed it from 1 to 2. Let's go back here and let's see. We'll click on this guy, and he's number 1. That's me. I'm behind the clock now. So if I click on the clock, the 2 becomes selected. If I click on me, the 1 becomes selected. And that's just sort of the active layer that we're working on. So we'll click back on the clock. We'll kind of put it back. Let's see, let's just do a couple of, well, it doesn't matter because I want to change the size of it. So let's change the size of it. Boom. And I guess I do want to know, why is this counting down? Huh. Oh, it's counting down to the end of the show. That's why it is. And then this is the local time. All right, so I think I want both of those. I want both of those. Let's, yeah, we'll leave that right there. And actually, I think I want to take this and drag it there so that when it's on the screen in front of me, I can see it. And we'll take the clock and move it up top right there. Okay. And if I had some other things that I wanted in here, for example, if I had a collar, we'll take this collar here, select his level, and we'll go ahead and reduce him down, and then crop him so that we can see the collar. I would probably put him up there somewhere. That would be my collar. That would be enough for the moment. So basically, I'm going to click on myself. There we go. I've moved this. I've cropped it. I've added a border. I can see my X and Y. These are my cropping coordinates. These are my moving coordinates. And borders don't have coordinates. It's got thicknesses and radiuses. And then 90-degree turn, undo, and redo. Yeah, I think I've got my input the way I wanted it. Boom, there it is right there. We'll put it in preview for a second. And now I can add it to my full screen. Let's see, are both of them output? So let's go display 2 is going to be input number 88. we go, 88. All right, so full screen. Display 2 is number 88. Should be down there somewhere at the very bottom. Here, we'll go back down and take a look. There we go, 88. So when I hit the full screen button, well, I did it backwards. I've got the output there and the other one there. So let's change it around. We'll turn that off for a second. There we go. Display 1 needs to be 88. There we go. And display 2, we're going to make display 2 none. Can we make it none? Output preview, multi-view replay, blah, 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 blah. I thought none was an acceptable answer here. I guess not. So maybe we just have to leave it. Go back there. We'll leave it on output. Okay, so when I turn this on, now I've got myself right there. So if I want to see how I look, I can look at myself, and I almost look like I'm looking at you. So let's change that just a little bit. Let's go back into settings here. We'll take this one, we'll just drag it down a little bit. And it's actually being dragged down, as you can see over there. It's being dragged down live. And I'll put my eyes right above the camera. Oh boy, that looks good. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll take the time, we'll swing it in over here so that I can see it pretty easily. And then I've got a collar over there if I need it. And I may have other collars if I need them. Okay, so this is what I've got. And I did it using the new layers additional features, layers. I can select the layer that I want. Oops, I can select the, you should be able to just click on the, oh, I bet that's what the edit button does. No, the edit button works the way it always used to work. Takes us to the position tab. So let's go back to layers. So I can't choose a layer by clicking on that button right there. It'd be nice if I could, because if I've got something hidden like that's hidden, I mean, I can click here and, you know, where is it? Where is it? And if it's laid on top of something else, I'll never be able to find it. Let's see, that's number 3. So that's gonna come on top of me. Let's try something else. Let's put number 89 down here. Whoops. And we'll take it off up there. And let's take 89 and crop it like we did before. Let's also make it smaller. There we go. And now it's on top of the clock. Let's crop it from the other side. There we go. Now, what we notice is if we add 89, this 89 back, we'll make this 89 bigger. Gotta go back to move to make it bigger. There we go. Okay. So now we've got 4 active inputs here. We've got this one, the one that you can see. We've got the clock. We've got a vMix caller that's somewhere up there, I think. And he's, it's a black input, so you can't see anything. And then we've got this same mix input with the, remember, with the magenta border, but we can't get to that one by clicking. We have to, and we can't get to it by clicking up here. We have to actually move something like this in order to select that, in order to do it. So we might want to consider letting these buttons allow us to select the level in addition to just clicking on it. I'm not suggesting getting away from that. But yeah, okay. All right. So let's see what you find people in the chat have to say, because I did ask for your input. Vlad is asking, can you still resize a layer while pressing shift and moving the mouse? That's a good question. Let's go back in and see. We're going to resize, so that means we need to be on move. And I've got the shift key pressed down. And I think that motion is the same. I'm going to let go of the shift key. Yeah, the shift key apparently doesn't have any. If I press the, what if I do the shift key and then the scroll wheel? No, that doesn't do anything. If I hold the left button down and do the scroll wheel, no, that doesn't do anything. So you're, what is it that you want to do? I'll have to go back to a previous version of vMix and see how it used to work in order to understand your question. Tommy says, I suggest you place your main shot at 5 or 6 so you can place things behind you. Great minds think alike. Exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to illustrate. And I think even though I've got this cropped, let's see if I click on that guy there. Yeah, even though I can see it, because I've got this lower image cropped, we can't click on the one with the pink border. Now we do have, I think you may have seen just a second ago. Let's see, let's make this really small. And I think we can line it up. See the green line there? Yeah, we can line it up with the center line. And there's a green line there, kind of a margin line. And then there's a green line there. What is that line lining up with? Maybe that's a third. And that would be another third. Nope, there's a center right there. Oops, right there. That's center line. And that line only appears when I'm moving this. If I double click, right click, yeah, right click just gives me the align feature. But if I move it, oh, look at that. There we go. Now I've got a crosshair. Can I do that with any? Yeah, any of the corners, any of the dots on this allow me to align with whatever the alignments are. So the greens, yeah, I'm not sure where these greens exist. Oh, maybe right there. Let's turn on a 3D grid. Does it align with any of the grids? Yes. Now that doesn't align quite with the third grid. It aligns with that one, but it doesn't align with that one. Oh, it does. And then there's a little one off to the side of it. Huh. Well, those aren't something I can move. It's not something I can drag in or drag out and place where I want to. Interesting. Let's go back here and see. We'll do a 16 grid. Does that mean it lines up with every 16? No, it's close, but it's not the same. Close, but not the same. Let's just try a 3 grid. There we go. So now we're in thirds. And this horizontal and vertical seem to work okay. If we come over to this one, those thirds work okay. All right. Oh, it's that right there. What is that little extra green line right there? If I slide it to there, it works, but then there's an extra. Maybe that's, let's turn that off. Maybe that's, yeah. So what is that? Is that a third right there? Nope. Is that a quarter? Nope. Okay. So the correlation between the grids and the greens is not straight on. Yeah. Gunner is a layer genius, says Tommy. All right. Jeep and Dave says it's the edge of the vMix collar. Well, let's see if that's the case. Yep, looks like it is. So let's take the vMix collar, move him out of the way. We'll get our little grid right there. Turn it on thirds. Quarters. No, still there. I wonder if it's this guy right here. Let's move him out of the way. Let's move this guy out of the way. So everybody's out of the way. And let's see what we line up. If that little magical line is still there. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, so that line represented right there, that one represents the corner of that one. We go it over this way, that represents the corner of that one. And then if we come down here, we go there, that's going to represent the corner. Oh, look how the border goes out of the bottom. Let's see, will that mean that this can have the border off the bottom of, oh, well, the whole thing can go off the bottom. Yeah, okay, so you just put it where you want it. So if I align bottom, yeah, it drops the border off. Okay, Vlad says what I meant was to hover the mouse over a layer. Okay, we'll do that. Not the corner. Then shift left click and move the mouse to the right or the left. Yes, it still does that. What about up and down? Up and down doesn't do anything, just right and left. There you go. Oh, that's nice. Gunner says 10 layers is not enough for me. He wants more. Well, you know, you can nest things within things, but that's not the same as having all the layers available at the same time. My guess is that there is some sort of limit in vMix. Yep. You're welcome, Vlad. All right, so this is good. This is good. This allows us to precisely place our assets. So if I want to turn on I've got a 4x4 grid on, and let's say we're going to take this guy and let's put him right there so that the top of him right there. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's move this guy out of the way for a second. So if I'm going to work with this guy, I can align him to the top of the original image, but I can't align him to the cropped image. Let's see what's going on here. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. So if I'm going to go here, I can go to the crop. I can go to the original border of the image, but I can't line it up with the green on my cropped image. That's okay, but it would be nice to be able to take something like this and be able to line it up based on that line right there, not based on that line right there. So there we go. Hello, Kyle. Welcome. Hello, Bill. Kyle's a movie star. Don't know if you guys have seen it yet or not, but he hosted Tim from vMix, and they did a tour of all his schools. Great video. Go check it out. for sure. Kyle, you're a natural. We used to call Kyle the plunderer because he would win every contest. And I think he gave all that stuff to the school. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers here. And you can see one of them's the clock, one of them's the magenta image, one of them's the non-magenta image. And then one of them, excuse me, is a blank for a vMix call. So there we go. Vlad says, automation for vMix, 16 layers, 16 categories, 16 mix inputs, 16 dynamic variables, 16 buses. Make everything 16. Well, if you're going to do that, why not make it 64? I mean, 64 is a good number. All right. So let's put this back in some semblance of order here so we can see things. We have the full screen on, and that's close. We're going to have to edit it live here. Let's put that guy right back there. That's good. We'll take this one off. So we're going to unclick it. Oh yeah, you don't have to click an input. That's interesting. You just go over and grab it. Boom. Move it where you want it. Let's take the collar off. So now we can put the clock there, and we'll shrink the clock a little bit. Okay. All right. All right. That was useful. That was useful. Okay. We've gone over our time today. And this is what we ended up with. That's not bad. That's not bad. But let's go back to this, and we'll go to the post show, and I want to get your feedback. Yeah, that's what I want. Purple button on the X Keys XK80. All right. Hello, Ron. Welcome. Glad you're here. And we need to respect Tommy's nap time. So, yeah. There you go. Well, Ken, thank you for asking. And I'll give a shout out to those of you in the States. If you are on Medicare, 65 or older, or whatever age it is now, and you're seeing cloudy vision, it probably means that you have cataracts, and you can get those fixed. And they take out the lens, it just pops right out. And then they put a new one in, pops right in. It's got a little Velcro around the edges. Not really. And you get new eyes. And in my case, they could correct my vision with the new lenses the same way they could in my glasses. So they corrected me for astigmatism and nearsightedness. And now I see like regular people. In fact, sometimes, depending on the time of day, it tends to change throughout the day. Yeah, 2015, which means I see at 15 feet what the normal person sees at 20. Yep. So I've got eagle-eye vision. First time in my life. It's amazing. I wake up in the morning, it's like, whoa, this is what the world looks like when you first wake up. Walk into the shower going, I got to take my glasses off. Oh, no, I don't have to. So, Ken, thanks for asking. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tommy. I did hear, I heard this about my knee, and I also heard this about my eye, that the choice of surgeon is really important. That you want somebody that does this every day and could do it in the sleep. I was talking to the doc, and he said, yeah, we'll schedule about 12 of them, and they take about 15 minutes. And That was a really cool experience. He came in before the surgery after they had me all prepped, asked me if I had any questions. I mean, this was 2 separate surgeries, but he did the same thing each time. If I had any questions, kind of went through the procedure with me, told me what was going to happen, and prayed with me and for me, which I thought was really cool. And then we went and did the surgery. The first time, they said, all right, count backwards from 100 or something like that. And I remember thinking, oh, this is a piece of cake. And I remember the last thing I could think. I'm such an anesthesia weenie. And so I went to the 2 weeks later, had the second eye done, and resolved myself to stay awake. And they must not have given me as much stuff, or maybe it was different stuff, or maybe I was just having a better day. But I was awake and conscious through the entire surgery. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't like I could see anything. And so I didn't have to worry about, watching needles come down towards my eyes or something crazy like that. But I could see when they removed the lens and when they put the new one in. I couldn't see anything, but I could tell that something was going on. I was chatting with the doctor through the whole thing, which I think unnerved him a little bit. So I won't do that again, probably. So Tommy, here's a reference from Tim over in Dothan. You're not that close to Dothan, but you're not that far from Dothan either. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. It might be fixable. And I mean, and it's just in my world, this is a game changer. Of course, now I've got, these guys that I used to have to wear when I wore contacts. So, but I would gladly trade glasses for reading glasses any day. I intend to do a lot of road driving, and so I want to be able to do that as easily as possible. There you go. Gotcha. No offense, but Montgomery is the armpit of the South. My brother used to live there, and I never liked that town. Anyway. So, what did you think about vMix layers? I thought it was cool. Vlad says you need 16 layers, 16 categories. We've already got more than 16 categories. How many categories do we have? It's a bunch. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23, or 24. I don't know how you look at it, I guess. So we're good with categories. Mix inputs, I think, what is it, 8 that they've got now? Dynamic variables, 8 or 4. Buses is 8. How many buses? Audio outputs, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 7. And if you include the master, that's 8. If you include headphones, that's 9. So, yeah, it's a nice thought to have round numbers like 16 in all those areas. But I think the problem, of course, the problem is that different things like variables and buses and inputs require different amounts of horsepower. Layers is categories is a piece of cake. Those are just little bins. So yeah, so there we go. So Vlad wants to know what's new in Zoom integration of the moment. Well, I am using version 47.47, and .47, hold on, I'll tell you, is they went on a real, whoops, hold on, went to the wrong one. Yeah, the vMix forum has changed a little bit. They've got a whole forum now called beta discussion so that you can go into it and see what's going on. just with beta stuff. And let me scroll to the bottom of this thread. .47, which is what I'm using, was released 3 days ago. 6 days ago was 46. 7 days ago was 45. So Martin went on a roll there in a couple of 3 days. Yeah, 8 days was 44. So in the last week, he's released 4 different versions of this. The most recent changes are in .47 is that the Zoom plugin improvements support the breakout rooms, where the breakout rooms are controlled by a different host. So vMix will detect any movement to a different breakout room and reestablish the raw feed. Don't do breakout rooms, so that doesn't really affect me. vMix fixed a bug where changing the participants across multiple inputs may fail in some situations. What else? Zoom inputs. Oh, this is a good one. Zoom inputs will now fade to black, or they don't necessarily fade to black. They switch to black when the participant goes offline or stops sharing their video. Whereas before, it just took the last frame of video and sort of froze that, which was not always attractive. And the Zoom inputs will also correctly remember the last selected participant and store that selection when they reconnect. What else has changed for Zoom? One thing that is important to remember if you are doing, if you're keeping up with all these, if you're keeping up with the beta, if you're interested in the beta and keep up with the beta and you're keeping up with the different releases of the beta, you know, .44, 4.5, 4.6, here's 4.7, that if you're a Zoom person, you need to download the vMix plugin again each time you download the new version of vMix, because the plugin has changed in corresponding with the plugin in vMix. I would have hoped that perhaps it would be something that could be all in one, but it's not. And I guess the model it really follows is VLC. VLC is a plugin in vMix, but you have to download a special version of VLC, which has the vMix secret sauce in it. And if something changes, you have to download that plugin again. Hey, Kenny. Kenny says, let's see if we can put it up on the board here. Kenny says, how do you download and install the beta without overwriting the production version? That's a great question. Kenny, I have heard, I've never done it, but I've heard that people have just simply selected a different folder to install it in. The other thing is, and you know me, I like to live dangerously. And I haven't done it this time, but I've done it in past times where I've had a beta, I've installed a beta right over my production version. And then I've gone back to the production version. That's a little risky because you never know when the beta is going to change something that won't be compatible with the previous version. Obviously, any presets that I do in vMix 27 that includes, like the Zoom integration, those presets will probably just blank out in version 26. I guess I could try that. I mean, obviously not right now. But yeah. I don't know that I do it on a production machine. But you want to have all the resources. You want to have the cameras and the audio available so that you can test. I will, let me try that here on my machine. Let me revert back to, I mean, obviously I can't do it live with you guys, but let me revert back to 26 on this machine and then see if I can install 27 in another subdirectory. And I'll make a note on the vMix, on the Streaming Idiots Facebook page, if I'm successful with that. Yep. Or maybe just do a quick video or something. Yeah. Yep. Tommy's trying to rattle the cages and get the troops all excited. Yeah. The nice thing about the thumbs up, I mean, subscribing works to your benefit. And it's certainly, I guess it works to mine. I mean, we've got 7,000 subscribers, but I think, at least 1,000 of them have died off. But in terms of making this video more seeable or more visible in the world, in the YouTube world, it does help to do a subscription and a thumbs up. The little bell thing just means you get a notice when I go live or do something, but that's up to you. Yeah. All right. Well, let me get back to work here. I liked hanging out with you guys today. Thank you for taking time to hang out with me. It's always an honor. I feel honored when folks do that. I don't take it casually. Actually, I do, but I don't want you to know that. So we will see you guys. I'll see you next week, but not the week after that. I'm going up to visit my mom in Virginia the week after that. She turned 90 in May. And I asked her, I said, Mom, how's it feel to be 90? And she said, I've never been 90 before. So we're going to go up and visit her. And actually, I've got 3 boys. My oldest boy has 2 boys, and my youngest boy has 1 boy, and my middle boy is going to have a girl in February. And so all 3 of them and some of their spouses and at least one of their grandchildren, probably the new baby, are going to go and visit her this weekend. So that's going to be a big time. Yeah. So would covet your prayers for her that she passes peacefully. I don't think she's in imminent, death territory any minute, but the docs have given her 6 months. But they also said it was 0 to 6 months. But, who really knows? Who really? Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you. And I will catch you all. Where will I catch you? I'll catch you next week. Yeah. Catch you later.